What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC Fight Night: Derek Brunson versus Edmund Shabazian. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another DraftKings picks video. This time we are breaking down a very fun fight night card here, Shabazian versus Brunson. And we got some fun fights on this card. We're back to the smaller octagon, so I'm expecting some more finishes than usual compared to what we had in Fight Island. And yeah, 11 fight slate here compared to 15 last week. And by the way, last week was fantastic. I had 3 singles. I got top 10 in all 3 of them just by using my core. My core was Robert Whitaker, Chimaev, Aspinall, and Paul Craig. Had all 4 of them in every single lineup. And then as the punt, I had 2 Werdums and I had 1 Ronson. Would have taken down a couple singles if the last piece to my single lineup would have hit, and that was Jai Herbert. And it was looking really close until he got caught in that 3rd round, but really can't complain. Top 10 in every single. And the most impressive thing of the night, I think, was cashing in all my double ups with Reese McKee scoring 0. Yeah, you heard that right. I went Reese McKee in all double ups. Got him at 1%. I thought a lot more people would try that strategy. He was only 6,400, so you were able to go up and get Nathaniel Wood. You were able to get Aspinall. You were able to get Chimaev. That was 300-point wins right there, and I cashed very easy in all double ups. I had a bunch of people message me like, "Are you serious? Reese McKee is going to score 0?" And I was like, yeah, I am expecting him to score 0, but, it allows you to get those top guys. And, cashing with somebody scoring 0, that was awesome to see there. Had a lot of messages, a lot of guys in my Discord that had a great night. One guy in particular has been a member for a long time. He got first place in the 20 max. Great to see there. But hopefully we keep it going, keep it rolling going into next week here with a fun card here. We will start with the fight doesn't go to decision lines. Before we get started, if you guys can leave a like, also subscribe if you haven't yet, would really appreciate that. And also wanted to make an announcement that I am going to be on Odds HQ, so come check me out. I'm going to be on there Tuesday evening and I believe Wednesday evening as well. So come show some support. Come check me out on there. I think Tuesday I'm going to be talking some DraftKings and Wednesday I'm going to be talking some bets and predictions on there. Come check in, say something nice, and just enjoy the show. I'm going to be going over a lot of stuff on there with some great guys, so check that out. So the fight doesn't go to decision lines. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights that are favored to end inside the distance. And kind of like what we did last week and the week before, we're targeting these fights that are going to most likely end inside the distance. The fights that are going to score well with volume, and volume whether it's from striking or wrestling. So Brunson Shabazian minus 365. Fight doesn't go to decision. So Brunson's someone who really changed his career around. He used to be a guy that went in there really reckless and tried to end the fight early, and that's just not what he does anymore. So I believe he has 14 finishes in that first round. I don't know if he has any finishes outside the first round, so I can see this fight ending very early, whether it is Shabazian or whether it is Brunson, and I definitely lean Shabazian there, and he's 9,100, so he's not even the most expensive on the slate, and he's by far my favorite play. We'll get into it in a little bit more, but as for targeting both sides, I guess you can have some Brunson if you want to be a little bit different, because Shabazian's going to be the highest owned fighter on the slate, and honestly, I don't even think it's going to be close this week. I mean, he's obviously the best play on the slate, but if you want to play some Brunson, no shame in that as well. Spicely versus Perez. This fight I can see going to decision, but Spicely's somebody who is a kill or be killed fighter, and I definitely can see Perez maybe putting him away with strikes. Spicely is more of a BJJ guy, but he can throw some power on the feet. I did not like what I seen from Spicely defensively wise. He covers up, he leaves his body wide open, and something that Perez is very good at is those body kicks. So I can see a finish from Perez. And at the same time, Spicely is one of those guys that can go out there and finish a fight. So I think you're going to want both sides of this fight, but my lean is Perez there. So Brown Luque minus 185. Fight doesn't go to decision. I think this is going to be an absolute war. I think this can possibly be fight of the night here. 2 guys are going to go at it, and I can't remember a fight with Luque that's not a war. Like this guy, he comes in here, he comes to brawl, and I really do see somebody getting finished. Something we got to note is Luque has never been knocked out in about 26 fights, but he has taken a massive amount of damage over the past couple fights, so maybe that damage catches up on him. But other than that, I'll get into it in a little bit, but I like Luque quite a bit. But this could be a close fight overall. You probably want both sides, especially with Brown being like 7,400. If he wins, he probably will be optimal. Another thing I want to mention, there aren't many underdogs on this slate whatsoever. Like, you got to really dig deep for some underdogs. Even last week on the 15 fight slate, there were only two underdogs that won, were Doom and Ronson. And luckily I went about 20% Ronson and about 20% were Doom. I would have liked to go a little bit more on were Doom, but I only ended up getting about 20%. Was able to get them both in my singles though. But yeah, there aren't many underdogs, so we're going to have to take shots on some of these guys that definitely have a chance, and Brown is one of those guys. So Herman versus Mearshart, minus 175. Fight doesn't go to decision. I can definitely see a finish here, whether it's Herman maybe getting a knockout. Herman's like 39 years old. Mearshart maybe getting a knockout as well. Herman's been knocked out like 3 times and submitted 3 times. If Mearshart can get this on the ground, maybe he can find a submission. He has a very good ground game. And then Holland Giles, minus 155. Fight doesn't go to decision. I can see this fight finishing, but most likely probably going to go to decision here. If there is a finish, probably Holland, but Giles has a lot of power too, and at 7,300, probably worth a shot to play both sides on this fight. All right, so now we are going to go into the core plays here, and we are going to start with my number one play, and I'm sure it's a lot of people's number one play here, Edmund Shabazian at 9,100. This kid is amazing. He hits very hard. Brunson has been knocked out 5 times, and I think the old Brunson would have gave Shabazian a lot more problems, but at the same time, I think the new Brunson here has a shot if he can last that first round, but I'm not so sure he's going to. Like, Shabazian is absolutely the real deal. Brunson's 36 years old. He's definitely not in his prime anymore. He's on a slight decline, it seems like, although he did look pretty good against Ian Heinisch, and that was just having a better gas tank. So I do give the gas tank advantage to Derek Brunson here, but hopefully Shabazian does get him out of there early, and that's what I think is going to happen. And at 9,100, I do think he's going to finish in the first round. If it does get extended, it could get a little bit iffy, and the line's like out of whack right now, because I do think if it gets extended, Brunson's live for sure, but Brunson I don't think has a finish outside the first round, which is also something to note. So what I think is going to happen is 100% sure Shabazian's going to win the first round or get him out of there. But like I said, if it gets extended, it could get a little iffy. But still, I do lean Shabazian there. 9,100, I love it. Vicente Luque, 8,800. And this is a very good price for the amount of upside Luque has. Luque is a killer. He goes in there, gets in absolute brawls. He gets in there and gets into wars every single time, and his chin has been holding up. Hopefully it still holds up. I mean, he took a lot of hard shots from Stephen Thompson in that loss. 90% finish rate for Vicente Luque, 53% won by knockout, and an 83% finish rate by Randy Brown. I do think there probably is going to be a finish in this fight, and I'm banking on the chin of Luque to definitely hold up. I think he's going to land the harder shots, hopefully get on the inside of Brown. Brown's going to have about a 2-inch reach advantage, which I thought it was going to be a little bit more than that just watching the tape, but only a 2-inch reach advantage for Brown. I like this spot a lot for Luque, and he has a lot of upside here at 8,800. So Joanna Calderwood, 8,700. She is someone who has scored 90 points in every single one of her wins, and I don't really see that changing here. She throws 5.86 significant strikes per minute, and believe it or not, that is the most on the whole slate. She has that 8,700. She was getting ready to fight Valentina Shevchenko, so I'm sure her striking is going to be on point here. 8,700. Like I said, she hasn't scored less than 90 points in a win in the UFC. And then she even scored like 70-something points in a loss against Caitlin Chukagian in a fight some say she won. But 8,700, I do like that quite a bit. So Lana Venata, 8,200. It's right in that 8,000, 8,200 range where, usually this fight's very important in a fight where both of these guys throw a lot of volume. Green throws 5.15 significant strikes per minute, and Venata throws 4.72. So I think there's going to be a lot of strikes thrown. I do not like either of these guys' defense. Venata, leaves a lot open on defensively, and so does Green there. We saw in Green's fight versus Guida, he was, letting Clay Guida hit him in the face as hard as he could. He was telling him to hit him in the face because he knows Guida does not have the power to put him away. But if he does that against Venata, if he comes in here cocky like he did against Guida, Venata's going to knock him out with a head kick. No question about that. Venata hits very hard. In their first fight, this is a rematch. Venata arguably won that fight, And the only reason he didn't was because of a illegal knee, and the knee didn't even hit Bobby Green in the face. It was more of Venata's like thigh that hit him in the face. So regardless, the ref took a point. Don't really blame him there, but Venata should have won that fight if it wasn't for that illegal knee there. So I like Venata quite a bit. Surprisingly, Venata's 28 years old and Green's 33 years old, so Green is probably on a slight decline here. Venata should be in his prime here. I see him making improvements fight after fight, not being overly aggressive, and I wouldn't mind him being aggressive in this fight against Bobby Green. So 8,200, I think whoever wins this fight probably ending up on the optimal lineup because it is in that 8,000 range and it's in only an 11 fight slate. So something new to look at there. So Gerald Meerschaert, 8,300. This is someone who finishes fights, and I think he has a favorable matchup here against Ed Herman. Ed Herman's 39 years old, definitely on the decline, probably towards the end of his career here. And Meerschaert is someone who I see making improvements fight after fight, particularly in his striking. Like, he was struck with Eric Anders, he was striking with Kevin Holland at times. Of course, he got knocked out by Ian Heinisch very early in the last fight. But, Herman's not somebody that's going to go out there and try to take Meerschaert's head off like that, like rush in like a bull like Ian Heinisch did. Herman's going to sit back and try to counterpunch and try to knock out Meerschaert. And as long as Meerschaert's chin holds up, I really don't see how he loses this fight, and I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes the fight as well. Meerschaert has a 93% finish rate, finishing 74% of his wins by submission, and Ed Herman has been submitted 3 times. He's been knocked out 3 times as well, so I like Gerald Meerschaert quite a bit. I just think he's the better fighter at this point of their careers. I'm not high on Ed Herman at all, and I just see improvements in Meerschaert's game, and I cannot say the same for Ed Herman. Kevin Holland, 8,900. The price is a little steep, and I don't know how much I'm going to play of guys like Holland, guys like Borg, because we got Shabazian up there, but they're fine plays nonetheless. Holland's someone who does not have the best fight IQ. He was taking a lot of chances, messing around with Meerschaert on the ground a couple fights ago. He did get that win, but he, arguably lost that fight. And then he got submitted by Brendan Allen. And Holland is a black belt, so that was a little bit surprising to me. But no shame in really losing to Brendan Allen. He's a great fighter. But Holland's someone who doesn't have the best IQ. But luckily, he's going against someone with even worse IQ in Trevin Giles, 7,300. Honestly, the more I look into this fight, the more I like Kevin Holland. At first, I thought Giles had a chance, but I don't think Trevin Giles' head is in it right now. I don't think he wants to really pursue this as a career. I think he wants to, as we know, he's a police officer. I think he's more interested in that. And I also heard an interview where he said he wasn't training much for a couple months during all the stuff going on. So that's something worrisome there. And I just see, it's weird, Trevin Giles, very young in his career, I see him making so many mistakes. I see him taking down Gerald Meerschaert in a fight where all he had to do was stand and strike with him. So I think there's going to be a lot of mistakes made in this fight, and more are going to be made by Giles. But I do think Holland's the hungrier fighter here. I do think Holland wins at 8,900. Maybe he does finish Giles. Giles has been submitted twice. He got rocked in one of those fights and got submitted shortly after. So maybe Holland does submit him. Like I said, I don't think Giles' head is in the game right now. So I'm picking the hungrier fighter to win at 8,900. I think it's worth a shot there. Ray Borg at 9,000. This play is tough because right now he's a minus 220 favorite. He's going against Nathan Maness, and Nathan Maness has a 9-inch reach advantage. And I think either this fight, Borg's going to look like a minus 300 favorite, minus 400 favorite, or this is going to look like a pick'em. It's up to, is Ray Borg going to get this fight to the ground or not? And I don't know. There wasn't much tape of guys taking down Maness, guys trying to get him to the ground. There wasn't much tape of that, so I don't know much about Maness's ground game. So it is a very big risk. And of course, this is at 135, and we know that Borg kind of struggled against Ricky Simone, but of course it's Ricky Simone. But if this stays on the feet, this is going to play out very close. But like I said, if Borg's able to get it to the ground, and I'm assuming he can, Borg's someone who averages 3.89 takedowns per 50 minutes with a 50% takedown accuracy. Of course, a lot of that was at 125, but I'm assuming he does get down Maness, and if he does, I think there could be a submission upside here for Borg. But if he doesn't, honestly, I think he's going to be in some trouble, although he has improved his striking. And his striking looked pretty dang good against Ricky Simone. But I think Borg's worth a shot. Probably going to be lower owned at 9,000 because sometimes he's not able to score as well. going against other wrestler grapplers. This time, I'm not really sure about Manessa's ground game. There was not much tape on it. A lot of striking from Manessa, not much wrestling grappling that I wanted to see, but it's worth a shot for Borg at 9,000. So Marcus Perez, 8,500. Going against Eric Spicely, I honestly don't think Eric Spicely is that good. Taking a look at it here, Eric Spicely has been knocked out twice. He's been submitted twice. Not sure about Spicely's credentials on the ground, but I think he's a black belt. And then also not sure about Perez either, but Perez is very good on the ground for what I've seen. Lots of submissions on his record. Perez has finished 50% of his fights by submission as well. Would not be surprised if Perez did submit Spicely late. Spicely does not have the best gas tank. Perez has a decent gas tank. I've seen him, get tired at times, but that's with a lot of wrestling heavy, a lot of wrestling going on in his fights. But I think Perez is the better fighter by a decent margin. It's just the problem is Spicely is a pretty dangerous guy, whether it's on the ground, whether it's on the feet. He does throw some bombs. Spicely has finished 29% of his wins by knockout, and Perez has never been knocked out. Perez has never been submitted in 15 fights. I do like Perez quite a bit. Maybe this fight will go a little bit under-owned, and I think Perez might be live for a finish here, whether it's him getting a knockout, a body kick finish. Spicely's someone who covers up high on the head. He backs up to the cage. He lets fighters get off about 10 shots at a time. And I think that Perez can really tee off on him there and definitely go to the body. And Perez is able to kick the body very nicely. And maybe he does finish Spicely to the body there. I think it's very doable. Or even just tiring out Spicely and submitting him late. So I think this is kind of going to be a play that goes under the radar here with Marcus Perez. And it's a fight I do like for him. So Jonathan Martinez, 8,600, another fight that is probably going to go under the radar, going against Frankie Saenz. I do like Martinez to win this fight. He arguably won his last fight. Just looking at it here, he throws 3.67 significant strikes per minute, a little bit less than Saenz. And as long as he stops the takedowns here, I think he's in line for a win. But what worries me is Martinez has a 33% takedown defense here, so that does worry me a little bit. But Saenz is getting up there in age. Saenz is 39 years old. I think Martinez's striking is very good. Just watching tape on him, he is a very good striker. Dangerous striker as well. He's finished 55% of his fights by knockout. And Saenz has been knocked out twice. So maybe, maybe he can get, Martinez can get Saenz out of here. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But he needs to stuff those takedowns, or it can be very iffy. And even if he does get taken down, I don't think Saenz has the cardio to really, do much with that. So yeah, I like Martinez at 8,600. Maybe he can get a finish there, and I think it'll be pretty low owned as well. All right, getting into the live dogs here. Randy Brown, 7,400. Like I said, there isn't much here, so we got to kind of dig. Randy Brown going against Luque. I mean, maybe all that damage is finally catching up on Luque, and, Brown's no scrub at all. Luque gets hit 5.34 significant strikes per minute, which is second most on the slate, right behind Eric Spicely. And, Brown could maybe use that range, use that length to really pick apart Luque. I think we'll have no problem hitting him. But this fight could play out close, and maybe Brown can sneak out a decision. Maybe Brown can even hurt Luque at times. Really hard to see him finishing Luque, but any win at all at 7,400 will probably be optimal this week, considering there isn't much underdogs on the slate. Okay, Jamal Emmers, 7,800. I actually like him to win this fight. Just watching tape on his opponent, Tamir Valiyev, I wasn't overly impressed. And the thing is, Emmers is going to have a 6-inch reach advantage and a 4-inch height advantage, and I think that's going to play out very good. The thing about Emmers is I'm really questioning his fight IQ. In his last fight against Giga Chikadze, I was really expecting a more takedown-heavy approach because Emmers, I believe, was a standout wrestler in high school and did go D1 for wrestling. I was really expecting him to take down Chikadze, and it took him about 7 minutes to shoot the first takedown. He got it easily, so maybe he can take down Valiyev. Valiyev does look like he has a decent get-up game, a decent ground game, decent takedowns himself, so I think mostly the takedowns and wrestling is probably going to cancel each other out. I do see Emmers maybe taking him down at some point. But Emmers is someone who really looks like he takes the first round off in a lot of his fights. And so I can see Valiyev winning that first round, but he really turns it on, Emmers, in that second and third round. He really turns it on. And overall, he landed 4.96 significant strikes in his fight against Shikatsi, and that's a lot of output there, so I like that a lot. And like I said, any win this week for an underdog should be enough to get in the optimal lineup. I really only see like 1 or 2 underdogs winning this week, if that. So Bobby Green, 8,000. This line is the closest on the slate, and even then, it's not really that close for an 8,200, 8,000 matchup. Venata's a minus 150 favorite there. So I think Green is very live in this fight. It's just I like Venata a little bit more. Green can definitely make this close. It depends, what Green shows up. Is he going to be cocky? Is he going to come in here with his hands down, eat a bunch of shots from Venata? Or is he going to fight smart, keep his hands out, just tire out Venata? I think Green has the better gas tank by a decent margin. So if Green can survive the early storm, maybe he does get a comeback win here. Probably would be a very, very close decision if he does win. And like I said, any win at this price is probably going to be optimal this week. Eric Spicely, somebody we've got to talk about. He's dangerous. He finishes most of his wins. Don't necessarily see him winning. Marcus Perez has never been finished, but Spicely, someone who has finished 79% of his fights. He is a dangerous fighter. We can't ignore that. 7,700, it's worth a shot. Don't love it, though. Same thing with Ed Herman. Don't love it, but he's another fighter that is dangerous. Especially Mearshart has been knocked out, I believe, 2 times, and Herman's someone who has finished 81% of his fights overall and only a 27% knockout rate. He does throw with some power. Is it enough to knock out Mearshart? Maybe it is. Just don't really see that happening, but it's just another option to look at on this slate that it does not have much underdogs. So pump plays here, Derek Brunson, 7,100. Again, I don't love it, but Shabazian is having a big step up in competition here, and this fight could play out a little bit closer than people think, and the line indicates if Brunson can survive the first round. I'm just not banking on that. If he does, I do think he's a little bit live, but it's honestly probably not going to happen, and obviously I like Shabazian quite a bit this week. And then Trevin Giles, 7,300. He's a dangerous fighter. He hits very hard. I just want to see what he looks like on the scales. Of course, I heard an interview where he said he hasn't been training, and that's not good news at all. But Holland has been submitted twice, I believe. Yeah, Holland's been submitted twice. He's never been knocked out. Honestly, if Giles wins, it's probably going to be a knockout. Just don't really see that happening. Holland has a very good chin, but it's just another option to look at. And some other guys I want to mention, Cody Durden going against Chris Gutierrez. I think he's a decent punt option if he can get the takedowns in this fight. The way to beat Gutierrez is getting takedowns, and I'm not sure of Durden's wrestling credentials, but on tape I've seen him pick up guys and slam them and get them to the ground. If he comes in here with a game plan like that, he can possibly win against Chris Gutierrez. Gutierrez is like a minus 330 favorite, though. And Durden is also training at American Top Team. And then another punt option I want to point out is Nathan Manis. If he can stop the takedowns from Borg, he has a 9-inch reach advantage. He could win the fight just out pointing Borg on the feet, stuffing the takedowns, but not so sure that's going to happen. Like I said, lots of question marks with Manis' ground game. So fades here, Chris Gutierrez. He is someone who, first of all, there's a lot of recency bias going into this line. He's like a minus 330 favorite. I don't really think he should be a minus 330 favorite over anyone. He's not really a finisher. He's only finished about, I want to say 47% of his wins have came by knockout, 7 by submission. So a 54% finish rate, which is one of the lowest on the slate. He did get that leg kick knockout his last fight. It was also in the UFC Apex. I just don't see that happening again. I think there's only been like 4 leg kick knockouts in UFC history, something like that. So it's very not likely that's going to happen. And Gutierrez isn't really someone who's going to go out there and try to finish you. If he was, I would be looking at him. And of course, we got Shabazian. That is only 100 less. Might as well go with Shabazian. First fight of the night, might as well pretty much fade that or just play some dirt in just in case he gets some takedowns there. Other than that, I just want to remind you guys to become a member of my Patreon and receive full access to my model, my premium projections, GPP lineup percentages, premium breakdown and strategy video, my Draftkings article, and more. Of course, you get into my Discord, talks and fights, ask any questions you want. Lots of people have signed up over the past couple weeks. I think we got 40 to 50 new members in just a couple weeks, so thank you all for signing up. Really helps me out. I make the model by hand, so it does take me a few hours, so really nice to get rewarded in a way for that. And it also helps me out with buying different things for other sports like projections, stuff to make projections and all that, and the stats that go into all my models for all my different sports. It really helps out there. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys leave a like. Also subscribe if you haven't yet. Really appreciate that. Working my way up to 5,000 subscribers. My goal was to get that by UFC 252 in early August there. And like I said earlier, check me out on Odds HQ Tuesday evening. I think I'm going there on there Wednesday evening as well. Come check me out. Say something nice. Other than that, going live on Friday as always, talking the weigh-ins, talking DraftKings, talking bets, talking final thoughts for the card overall. So come in on Friday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and come in and ask questions and all that good stuff. And with that said, good luck everybody, and let's win some money and have another good week.